Open your eyes to the most compelling form of interactivity ever experienced outside of the real world. That is a lofty claim made on the back of Shenmue. The most compelling form of interactivity ever experienced outside of the real world. Holy shit. Well, that game was ahead of its time at the time. In 1999, that game cost 47 million to develop. It was absolutely huge, did things no other games have done or have done since. Now on Kickstarter, Shenmue 3 is happening, thanks to smashing its target of 2 million. Now that's a very low amount of money to ask for a game like this. Or is it? These are questions that are being asked. Yeah, original game cost 47 million to make. These days with the technology, it might be easier to make a game of the same feel. So maybe you could make Shenmue 3 for a lot less if it felt like the old Shenmues. You know what I mean? So by today's standards, Shenmue feels quite, kind of blocky, and it feels less free and open and dynamic than a lot of modern games. But if you made Shenmue 3 to be like the old Shenmues, would you be able to produce it for a lot less money than 47 million that the original cost to make? Who knows? But that initial 2 million has been smashed. They're currently on 3 million. And they're already going towards some of these stretch goals. This is something that's kind of worrying me a little bit. I mean, the excitement of yesterday was crazy. It's kind of died down now. The dust has settled. We're asking questions. We want this to be done properly. We want to see it go in the direction it deserves to go in. So, yeah, the stretch goals are 4 million. You'll get an extra location called Baisha. And for 2 other as yet undisclosed targets, you will get 2 more locations. So that's 3 extra locations if the project continues to get more and more money through Kickstarter. That's something I'm a bit worried about. Were those locations originally intended for the game? Obviously they must have been. They must have been stuff that he wants to do to put in the game to make it the full Shenmue 3 experience. Or is it that? Or are these 3 other locations 3 more in the Shenmue series that was originally planned? I believe Yu Suzuki said there was going to be 7 games in the Shenmue series. Are these 3 extra locations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 in the Shenmue series? Or the whole thing? Who knows? I don't know. He needs to tell us. But it's a shame to leave extra content in the game up to chance on the backings of a Kickstarter campaign. There's been speculation recently that it seems like Sony may well be financially involved with the production of this game as well. And if that's the case, it's a bit tight of them to leave it up to chance whether or not you get the full package. There's been an interview recently with a Sony executive implying that they are on board financially. Like I said, the original cost 47 million to make. It's possible it cost a hell of a lot more than what they're going to get from Kickstarter to make this game. But as I said, if it feels like the old Shenmue, which would be retro feel by today's standards, but if it controlled and felt like the old Shenmues, you probably could make it for a lot less than the original cost. So that's that. But yeah, I can't believe it's happening. I went along with all the kind of support campaigns and the Facebook groups and the polls and the votings and all this stuff. Didn't really think it would actually happen though, because corporations do only care about this. And while Yu Suzuki, it's a labour of love for him, and whilst there's a very, very loud and vociferous fan base for this game, it's not a very large fan base compared to other money spinners. They make a lot of noise, the Shenmue fans, but there's not that many of them compared to other franchises. And that's probably just a consequence of the fact that the game didn't get out to a big enough audience. It was out on the Dreamcast and the original Xbox. It didn't reach the numbers that it needed to make the money back on such a huge initial investment. At the time, that game cost a hell of a lot to produce. So, yeah, I think the kind of corporate worries about whether or not this money would make any back are unfounded. I think it's got a bigger audience since then. People have discovered it since. And game worlds have caught up with Shenmue. I think they've surpassed them obviously in terms of dynamism and several other factors. But I think it will work. I think it will work. It's not a guarantee. Even though this money has been raised on Kickstarter, the goals have been smashed. The initial goals have been smashed anyway. It's still not a guarantee that it's going to do well on the general release, because you have this very, very passionate but relatively small fan base that are currently making it seem like it would just annihilate the competition. I hope it does. I hope it does really well. And I hope it's not the entire story of Shenmue squeezed into one final game. I hope it's not that. So many questions. Yu Suzuki needs to tell us more. And there's things they could do to make this Kickstarter go even further. You know, if they announce a physical PS4 release, I for one would be putting down my money for what is effectively a pre-order. And there's no problem with that. You know, people are freaking out over this. What does it mean for the future of the industry? A company's going to go to Kickstarter just to, you know, hold you to ransom for the next game that you love in a series. I think you don't have to worry. I think Shenmue is a very unique case. You know, story left on a cliffhanger 14 years ago, been banging at the door for the next game for however long. It's very unique. I don't think it's going to set some kind of standard. And, you know, even if it did, it's really just a pre-order system, and what is wrong with that? They add the extra kind of rewards. You can give them more money to get loads of cool stuff, but if you're a fan, you're going to buy this merchandise anyway. It's effectively a glorified pre-order system. And if it means that a game gets made that otherwise wouldn't have, you're really passionate about, I don't see anything wrong with that. You know, that's how it is, I guess. But yeah, Pro B-Man 5 just made a video about this. He doesn't like the way this is going. He sees some issues with this. I'm going to watch that video next, and I pretty much always agree with what he says, so I'm sure it's very wise words. There's some other videos out there. I've got a lot of catching up to do. I missed E3. Oh my god, I was working during E3. I missed it all. And the Shenmue stuff, it's been a crazy few days. But what do you guys think of this? I will try to take a breath. I cannot believe it's happened. I just hope it happens right. That's what we're worrying about now. Because yeah, 14 years of hurt, like the Three Lions song, many more years, but 14 years of hurt, and more hurt, because now I'm worried about whether it's going to be done right, whether they're going to fuck it up and rush it and all this other stuff. But people, don't worry if it comes out feeling retro. Don't worry if it comes out seeming dated compared to modern games. If it plays like the old Shenmues, it will be what you wanted. As long as it tells the story right and is fun and engaging. But I do want to see more stuff added to it. I want to see what other stretch goals are out there. It's a very strange situation. It's very exciting. But yes, our money would be probably better spent, you know, feeding the hungry. Right. With that said, adios.